I'm sitting in the corner booth of our usual coffee shop, watching Marcus through the window. He's pacing outside, phone pressed to his ear, gesturing wildly with his free hand. Even from here, I can see the excitement radiating off him. He's probably closing another deal, or at least that's what he wants everyone to think. When he finally walks in, his smile is bright enough to light up the whole place. "Eric, you won't believe the day I've had," he says, sliding into the seat across from me. I smile back, sipping my latte slowly. Marcus has always been like this, loud, confident, the kind of person who fills every room he enters. Meanwhile, I'm the quiet one, content to work behind the scenes. We've been business partners for 6 years now, building our tech consulting firm from absolutely nothing. He handles clients and pitches. I handle everything else, the actual work, the systems, the foundation that keeps us running. Most people don't even know I exist. And honestly, I prefer it that way. For now. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. Marcus and I weren't always partners. We met in college, both studying computer science. He was the charismatic guy everyone wanted to befriend, while I was the girl who sat in the back row, acing every exam without saying much. When he approached me junior year with an idea for a business, I was skeptical. "We'd make a perfect team," he said, flashing that winning smile. "You're the brains. I'm the personality." I remember laughing at his bluntness, but something about his confidence was infectious. After graduation, we pooled our savings and launched Sterling Tech Solutions. The early days were brutal. 16-hour shifts, ramen dinners, sleeping in the office. Marcus charmed clients while I coded solutions, built systems, and made sure everything ran smoothly. Slowly, we grew. Our client list expanded. Revenue climbed. But somewhere along the way, the dynamic shifted. Marcus started taking more credit publicly, while my contributions stayed hidden in spreadsheets and code. I told myself it didn't matter. Results mattered more than recognition. But watching him shine alone started to sting. Our company culture reflects Marcus perfectly. Flashy, energetic, focused on appearances. He insists on expensive office furniture, branded merchandise, and monthly team outings to fancy restaurants. I handle the budgets quietly, making sure we can actually afford his grand visions. Sometimes I wonder if he even looks at the financial reports I send him. Probably not. He's too busy posting motivational quotes on LinkedIn and attending networking events. Meanwhile, I'm in my small office at the back, writing proposals, debugging systems, and meeting with the technical teams. Our employees respect me, but they worship him. He's the face they see in company announcements and client meetings. I'm just Eric from operations, the man who keeps things organized. Nobody realizes that half the patents we hold are based on my innovations. Nobody knows I restructured our entire back-end last year, saving us hundreds of thousands of dollars. Marcus certainly never mentions it. But that's fine. I know my value, even if others don't. At least, that's what I tell myself on difficult days. Last month, Marcus started acting strange. He'd take calls in private, closing his office door and speaking in hushed tones. He'd leave early for important meetings, without explaining where he was going. At first, I didn't think much of it. Marcus has always been secretive about potential deals, wanting to surprise everyone with big announcements. But this felt different. One afternoon, I noticed a meeting with people I didn't recognize. Men in expensive suits carrying leather briefcases. They looked like investors or lawyers. When I asked Marcus about it later, he waved me off. "Just exploring some opportunities," he said vaguely. "Nothing concrete yet. I'll fill you in when there's something real to discuss." His tone was dismissive, almost condescending. A knot formed in my stomach. We're supposed to be partners, equals. So why was he keeping secrets? I tried to brush it off, focusing on my work instead. But the uneasy feeling lingered, growing stronger with each passing day. 2 weeks ago, Marcus called an unexpected staff meeting. Everyone gathered in the conference room, buzzing with curiosity. He stood at the front, radiating his usual confidence. "Team, I have incredible news," he announced, pausing for dramatic effect. "We've received a buyout offer from TechCorp Industries. They want to acquire Sterling Tech Solutions for $20 million. The room erupted in shocked gasps and excited chatter. $20 million. It was more money than most of us had ever imagined. Marcus basked in the attention, answering questions and accepting congratulations. I sat frozen in my chair, mind racing. He hadn't mentioned any of this to me. Not a single word. We were supposed to make major decisions together. This was the biggest decision in our company's history, and he'd negotiated it without my input. After the meeting, I cornered him in his office. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. He shrugged casually. "I wanted to surprise you. Besides, you're always so cautious. I knew you'd overthink it." His explanation felt hollow, but I tried to accept it. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe Marcus really did think he was protecting me from stress. Still, something didn't sit right. That evening, I went through our partnership agreement, the document we'd signed 6 years ago when we founded the company. It clearly stated we were equal partners, 50-50 ownership. Any major business decisions required both our signatures. Marcus couldn't sell the company without my approval. Seeing it in writing should have made me feel better, but it didn't. If our agreement was so clear, why had Marcus negotiated this deal alone? Why hadn't he consulted me first? I tried calling him that night, but it went straight to voicemail. The next morning, he was already out of the office when I arrived. His assistant said he had back-to-back meetings all day. I left 3 messages. He didn't respond to any of them. The silent treatment continued for days. Finally, I caught him leaving the building one evening. "Marcus, we need to talk about this sale." He stopped but didn't turn around immediately. When he finally faced me, his expression was carefully neutral. "What's there to talk about, Eric? It's a great opportunity. TechCorp is offering excellent terms. We'd be set for life." I crossed my arms. "We need to review the deal together. As partners. That's how this is supposed to work." He sighed, like I was being difficult. "Look, I've handled all the negotiations. Everything's finalized. All we need to do is sign the papers next week. Trust me, you'll love the numbers." The way he said it, so dismissive, so final, made my blood run cold. "I want to see the contract before I agree to anything," I said firmly. Marcus's jaw tightened. For a moment, I saw something flicker in his eyes. Annoyance? Guilt? It passed quickly, replaced by his usual charm. "Of course. I'll have my lawyer send you a copy tomorrow. But seriously, Eric, stop worrying. This is the best thing that's ever happened to us." He walked away before I could respond, leaving me standing alone in the parking lot with more questions than answers. The contract arrived the next afternoon, a massive PDF with tiny font and endless legal jargon. I printed it out and spent the entire evening reading through every page. Most of it was standard acquisition language, but one section made me pause. It outlined the distribution of funds after the sale. According to the document, Marcus would receive $12 million. I would receive $8 million. My hands trembled as I reread the numbers. 12 million and 8 million. That wasn't equal. That wasn't 50-50. I grabbed our original partnership agreement and compared them side by side. Our founding document clearly stated equal ownership, but this sale contract allocated 60% to Marcus and 40% to me. How was that possible? I called Marcus immediately. He answered on the 4th ring, sounding irritated. "What now, Eric?" I kept my voice calm despite the anger building inside me. "The contract shows an unequal split. You're getting 12 million. I'm getting 8. That's not what we agreed when we started this company." There was a long pause. Too long. Marcus cleared his throat. "Well, Eric, let's be realistic here. I've been the face of this company from day one. I've brought in every major client. I've built our reputation. It makes sense that I'd receive a larger share." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "We're equal partners, Marcus. Legally. The paperwork says 50-50. He laughed, but it sounded forced. "Sure, on paper. But come on, we both know I've done the heavy lifting. You've been important, don't get me wrong, but let's not pretend we've contributed equally. The buyers are paying for the brand I built, the relationships I cultivated. You understand, right? Each word felt like a slap. Years of partnership, years of working side by side, and this was how he saw me, as less than equal. No, Marcus. I don't understand. And I'm not signing anything until this is corrected. His tone shifted, becoming harder. Eric, don't make this difficult. The deal is done. TechCorp expects both our signatures next week. If you refuse to sign, you'll tank the whole thing. Is that what you want? The threat was clear. Sign the unfair contract, or destroy the deal entirely. I hung up without responding, my mind spinning. How had we gotten here? How had my partner, my friend, turned into someone I barely recognized? I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying our conversation, analyzing every word, searching for some explanation that made sense. By morning, I'd made a decision. I wasn't going to roll over and accept this. I called our company lawyer, Janet, someone I'd worked with on various contracts over the years. I need your help, I told her, explaining the situation. She listened carefully, asking detailed questions about our partnership agreement and the sale terms. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Eric, if your original agreement specifies equal ownership, Marcus can't legally change that without your consent. This sale contract is invalid unless you agree to the new terms. But there's something else you should know. My heart pounded. What? Janet hesitated. I did some research after you called. TechCorp's offer isn't just $20 million. According to their public filing, they're paying $22 million. $22 million. Not 20. Marcus had lied about the total amount. Where's the extra $2 million going? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Janet confirmed my fears. Marcus negotiated a personal consulting bonus, $2 million paid directly to him, separate from the company sale. It's outlined in a side agreement that wouldn't normally be disclosed to other partners. I felt sick. Marcus wasn't just trying to cheat me out of equal distribution. He was hiding an entire bonus payment. $2 million that should have been split between us or reinvested in employee severance packages. Instead, he'd secretly pocketed it for himself. Can he do that? I asked Janet. She paused. Technically, he can negotiate consulting fees. But given your partnership structure, there's a strong argument that you should have been informed and given the same opportunity. More importantly, Eric, there's something in your original partnership agreement that Marcus might have forgotten about. My pulse quickened. What is it? Janet's voice held a hint of satisfaction. The patents. Almost every piece of core technology your company owns is registered under both your names. Marcus can't sell those without your explicit permission. The patents. Of course. When we'd first started filing intellectual property claims, our lawyer had insisted both founders be listed on every patent to protect the company. Marcus had been too busy schmoozing clients to pay attention to the paperwork details, so I'd handled it all. Now, those documents were my leverage. So what does this mean? I asked Janet. She explained that without my signature on the patent transfers, TechCorp couldn't legally acquire our core technology. The entire deal would fall apart. Marcus had been so focused on the financial negotiations that he'd forgotten about the intellectual property rights. It was the mistake I'd been waiting for. Don't sign anything yet, Janet advised. Let me draft a formal response. We'll request full disclosure of all deal terms, including that consulting bonus. Then we'll negotiate your rightful share. I thanked her and hung up, feeling a strange mix of vindication and sadness. This was my business partner, someone I'd trusted completely. And now I was preparing to go to war with him over money and betrayal. But I couldn't let him steamroll me. I'd worked too hard, sacrificed too much. It was time Marcus learned that quiet didn't mean weak. The next few days passed in tense silence. Marcus avoided me completely, communicating only through short emails about routine business matters. He probably assumed I'd cave under pressure and sign his unfair contract. He didn't know I'd discovered the hidden bonus or consulted with Janet. On Monday morning, Janet sent Marcus a formal letter outlining our concerns. It detailed the unequal distribution, questioned the undisclosed consulting fee, and reminded him that all patents required both our signatures for transfer. She requested a meeting to discuss revised terms. Marcus's response came within an hour. He called me directly, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. "What are you doing, Eric? Why are you bringing lawyers into this?" I stayed calm. "You brought lawyers in first, Marcus. You negotiated this entire deal without me. I'm just protecting my interests." He exploded. "Your interests? I'm offering you $8 million. Do you know how many people would kill for that kind of money? And you're complaining because you want more." His entitlement was staggering. "It's not about wanting more. It's about receiving what I'm legally entitled to as an equal partner." Marcus went silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had changed, softer, almost pleading. "Eric, please. Don't ruin this. TechCorp's lawyers are already drawing up final documents. If we delay now, they might pull the offer entirely. Is your pride really worth destroying both our futures?" It was a manipulation tactic, trying to make me feel guilty for standing up for myself. But I'd spent 6 years watching him take credit for my work. I was done being invisible. "I'm not destroying anything, Marcus. You created this problem when you tried to cheat me. If you want this deal to go through, we need to renegotiate. 50-50 split of the full $22 million, plus equal consulting fees if you're getting a bonus." He sucked in a sharp breath. "How did you?" he started, then stopped himself. The silence stretched between us. Finally he spoke, his tone cold and businesslike. "Fine. Let's meet tomorrow with our lawyers. We'll work something out." He hung up before I could respond. I sat staring at my phone, hands shaking slightly. This wasn't how I'd imagined our partnership ending, but at least I was fighting back. The meeting took place in a sterile conference room at Janet's law office. Marcus arrived with his attorney, a sharp-eyed man named Richard who'd clearly been briefed to intimidate me. They sat across from Janet and me, and the atmosphere was arctic. Richard opened with aggressive posturing. "My client has been more than generous with his offer. Mr. Eric should be grateful for the opportunity to—" Janet cut him off smoothly. "Your client violated their partnership agreement and attempted to defraud my client of her rightful share. Unless you'd like this to become a lengthy legal battle that destroys the TechCorp deal entirely, I suggest we negotiate in good faith." Richard's jaw tightened, but he nodded. For the next 3 hours, we went back and forth. Marcus argued that his client relationships justified a larger share. Janet countered with evidence of my technical contributions and patent ownership. Every time Marcus tried to diminish my role, Janet produced documentation, emails I'd sent solving critical problems, contracts I drafted, innovations I designed. By the end, even Richard looked uncomfortable. Finally, we reached an agreement. The full sale amount would be disclosed as $22 million. We'd split it equally, $11 million each. Marcus's consulting bonus would be eliminated. Marcus signed the revised agreement with barely concealed fury. His hand shook slightly as he scrawled his signature, and he wouldn't meet my eyes. When the lawyers stepped out to make copies, we were left alone in the conference room. The silence was suffocating. Finally, Marcus spoke, his voice low and bitter. "I hope you're proud of yourself, Eric. You just cost me $2 million. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt a wave of disappointment. This person wasn't the friend I'd started a business with 6 years ago. That Marcus had respected me, valued my input, treated me as an equal. This Marcus saw me as an obstacle to his personal gain. "You cost yourself that money," I replied quietly. "The moment you decided to lie to me, hide deals from me, and try to cheat me out of what I earned." His face flushed red. "Cheat you? I built this company. I'm the reason we have any clients at all. You just sat in your office playing with computers while I did the real work." Each word was designed to hurt, to make me doubt myself. But I'd spent too many sleepless nights reviewing our history, remembering all the times I'd saved the company from Marcus's impulsive decisions. I stood up, gathering my things. "If that's what you believe, Marcus, then you learned nothing from the past 6 years. But it doesn't matter anymore. The deal is done. We'll both get what we're legally entitled to, and then we can go our separate ways." I walked toward the door, but his voice stopped me. "This isn't over, Eric. You'll regret making me look bad in front of TechCorp's executives." The threat hung in the air between us. I turned back, meeting his glare with steady calm. No, Marcus. The only thing I regret is not standing up to you sooner. Goodbye. I left the conference room and didn't look back. Outside, Janet caught up with me. You okay? She asked gently. I nodded, surprised to realize I actually was okay. Maybe even better than okay. For the first time in months, I felt like I'd reclaimed my own power. The following week, TechCorp's lawyers prepared the final paperwork. Marcus and I signed separately, avoiding any unnecessary interaction. Our employees were informed that the sale would be completed in 30 days, with generous severance packages for everyone. I made sure those packages came from the company funds, not our personal shares. During the transition period, I started planning my next move. $11 million was more money than I'd ever dreamed of having, but it wasn't just about wealth. It was about freedom. Freedom to build something new on my own terms, without a partner who dismissed my contributions. I began sketching out ideas for a new venture, something focused on emerging technology and artificial intelligence. This time, I'd maintain control. This time, there'd be no Marcus to steal credit or negotiate deals behind my back. Meanwhile, Marcus threw himself into networking, already lining up his next big project. He posted constantly on social media about new beginnings and exciting opportunities, carefully crafting his image as a successful tech entrepreneur. He never once mentioned me in his posts. That was fine. I didn't need his acknowledgement anymore. One afternoon, I ran into some former employees at a coffee shop. They'd heard about the sale and wanted to know what I'd do next. As we talked, one of them said something that stuck with me. You know, Eric, we always knew you were the real genius behind Sterling Tech. Marcus was just a salesman. Their words meant more than they realized. For years, I'd convinced myself that recognition didn't matter, that results were enough. But hearing that validation from people who'd worked alongside me daily, it felt good. It felt right. The sale finalized on a cold Thursday morning. I signed the last document electronically, watched the wire transfer confirmation appear in my bank account, and felt a strange emptiness. 6 years of my life, reduced to a number on a screen. That evening, I visited my parents and told them everything. Mom cried, not from sadness but from pride. You stood up for yourself, she said, hugging me tight. That's my girl. Dad, always the practical one, asked about my plans. I shared my ideas for the new company, explaining how I wanted to focus on ethical AI development and inclusive hiring practices. Everything Marcus's leadership had lacked. They listened, asked questions, and offered encouragement. As I drove home that night, I realized something important. Marcus's betrayal had been devastating, but it had also been liberating. It forced me to recognize my own worth, to stop hiding behind someone else's spotlight. 2 months after the sale, I officially launched my new company, Quantum Innovations. The name represented a fresh start, a quantum leap forward from my past. I rented a modest office space, hired a small team of brilliant engineers, and began developing our first product, an AI system designed to help small businesses optimize their operations. Within weeks, we'd attracted interest from several potential clients. Word spread quickly in the tech community about my new venture. Old contacts reached out, curious about my split from Marcus. I kept my responses professional and vague, refusing to trash-talk my former partner publicly. There was no point in burning bridges or feeding gossip. My work would speak for itself. Meanwhile, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Marcus's new project was struggling. He'd launched a flashy startup with great marketing but weak technical foundation. Without someone like me handling the back end, his grand visions kept hitting practical roadblocks. I felt a twinge of sympathy but mostly relief that I was no longer responsible for fixing his mistakes. Then, 6 months after our split, something unexpected happened. I received an email from Marcus. The message was brief and formal. Eric, I hope this finds you well. I've been following news about Quantum Innovations. Impressive work. I wonder if you'd be open to meeting for coffee. There's something I'd like to discuss. Marcus. I stared at the email for a long time, debating whether to respond. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to leave that chapter of my life firmly closed. But curiosity won out. I agreed to meet the following Tuesday at a neutral location. Not our old coffee shop, somewhere new. When I arrived, Marcus was already there, looking older somehow. The confident swagger had dulled. He stood when he saw me, offering an awkward handshake instead of his usual hug. "Thanks for coming," he said as we sat down. "I wasn't sure you would." I waited, saying nothing. He shifted uncomfortably. "Look, I know things ended badly between us. I've had a lot of time to think about what happened. About how I treated you." He paused, seeming to struggle with the words. "I was wrong, Eric. About everything. I let ego and greed cloud my judgment. You deserved better." The apology caught me off guard. Marcus had never been good at admitting fault. I studied his face, searching for signs of manipulation, but all I saw was genuine regret. "Why now?" I asked quietly. He sighed. "Because I've spent the last 6 months trying to build something on my own, and I've failed spectacularly. Every problem that comes up, I find myself thinking, Eric would know how to fix this. Every decision I make, I wonder if you'd approve. It's made me realize how much I took you for granted." He rubbed his eyes tiredly. "I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I finally understand what we had, and I'm sorry I destroyed it." His words hung between us. I felt a complex swirl of emotions, vindication, sadness, and something close to pity. This man who'd seemed so powerful and confident had crumbled without someone to prop him up. "I appreciate you saying that," I replied carefully. "It doesn't change what happened, but it means something." Marcus nodded. "I know. And I'm not here to ask for anything. I just needed you to hear it." We talked for another hour, carefully navigating the ruins of our friendship. Marcus shared details about his struggling startup, his financial pressures, his loneliness. I listened without judgment, offering occasional advice but maintaining firm boundaries. When we finally parted ways, he shook my hand again. "Good luck with Quantum Innovations. You're going to do amazing things, Eric. You always did." I watched him walk away, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't expected. Marcus's apology didn't erase the betrayal, but it allowed me to release the anger I'd been carrying. I could move forward now without that weight. The following year was transformative. Quantum Innovations grew steadily, attracting talented people who shared my vision. We developed 3 successful products, secured major contracts, and built a reputation for ethical practices and technical excellence. Industry publications started featuring my work, interviewing me about my approach to AI development and business leadership. For someone who'd spent years in the shadows, suddenly being in the spotlight felt strange. But I learned to embrace it on my own terms, using my platform to highlight my team's contributions and advocate for more women in tech. I also made sure to stay connected with my former employees from Sterling Tech. Many of them reached out after the sale, curious about my new company. I hired several of them, grateful to rebuild with people who already understood my working style. They brought loyalty and expertise that money couldn't buy. One afternoon, my assistant told me someone named Marcus Taylor was in the lobby, asking to see me. My heart jumped slightly. I hadn't heard from him in months. "Should I send him away?" she asked. I thought about it, then shook my head. "No, send him up." Marcus looked different, dressed more casually, less polished than before. He carried a folder under his arm. "I know I should have called first," he said, standing awkwardly in my office doorway. "But I wanted to deliver this in person." He handed me the folder. Inside was a check for $1 million, made out to Quantum Innovations. My eyes widened. "Marcus, what is this?" He gave a sad smile. "It's money I owe you. Not legally, but morally. That consulting bonus I tried to hide? I spent some of it, invested some badly. But I've been selling off assets, downsizing my life. This is what's left." I tried to hand it back, but he refused. "Please, Eric, let me do this one right thing. You can use it however you want, invest in your company, donate it to charity, burn it for all I care. I just need to know I tried to make amends." The gesture stunned me. Marcus had many flaws, but this showed growth I hadn't expected. "Thank you," I said softly. "This will help fund our scholarship program for women in STEM." His face lit up with genuine pleasure. "That's perfect. That's so perfectly you. We talked briefly about his current situation. He'd taken a consulting job at a mid-sized firm. Nothing glamorous but stable. He seemed more at peace than I'd ever seen him. As he prepared to leave, Marcus paused at the door. You know what the crazy thing is? I spent years chasing recognition and money, stepping on people to get ahead. But you did it quietly, with integrity, and ended up with everything I wanted. His voice was wistful, not bitter. I walked him to the elevator, and we shared a final handshake. Take care of yourself, Marcus. He nodded. You too, Eric. And thank you for everything. As I watched the elevator doors close, I felt the last threads of resentment finally dissolve. Our story hadn't ended the way I'd imagined, but it had taught me invaluable lessons about worth, partnership, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing your own value. And that, I realized, was worth more than any contract could ever promise.